the sound of my voice. Hopefully 2026 will be as prosperous or more than 2025. It was a year to be remembered, and I know 2026 is going to be another year that we're going to do great things here in PSTA. So as our own Mr. Distinguished Brad Miller took my thunder, before we get started, we have to take a vote to allow our Commissioner Ron Walker to join via Zoom. I'll entertain a
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Welcome, Commissioner Walker. Happy New Year. And so going back to our happy birthdays, where's Al Burns? Happy birthday, sir. We do appreciate you and hope you have a fantastic day today.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And Mr. Pierce, happy birthday to you today for another blessed year.
Thank you so much. As you said, truly blessed. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You are so welcome. So thank you so much. So our first action item is to elect a committee chair and vice chair. Because I'm presiding, I won't recommend first, but you know I do have a nomination, but I'm gonna open the floor for nominations.
I'm sorry, excuse me, can you just real quickly call for public comment? I know.
Oh, I am so sorry. I skipped right over that. I'm sorry, everyone. Do we have any public comment?
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just wanted to
No,
be
no,
heard.
but that's okay. We have to
Check that
follow the
box.
agenda. Check that box, public comment. Thank you so much for that. Now we're moving to our action items, and I will now open the floor for nominations for the committee chair of the legislative committee. Okay, I have one. Commissioner Albritton? Any other nominations? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Wait
Aye.
a minute. Okay, so,
I should have asked you, do you accept?
that's right, you
I
should have.
should have asked you.
And I will, but now I'm the chair of the planning committee and we're gonna be electing a new chair for that as well, right, this month?
Yes.
So you're
I
assuming
think
you're
so.
gonna be chair of planning?
Well, I'm
You could
gonna,
be re-elected.
well,
planning committee
I'll
chair.
see about nominating
March.
somebody for that.
It's
Take
in
this
March.
one.
Oh, it's in March?
Oh, it's in
March?
March? Okay, all right,
Okay, are we good?
I guess we're good, yeah.
So you all heard that he formally accepts, and we did give a second, have a second. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Welcome, new chair.
Oh, thank you.
So we're gonna go ahead and do the election of our vice chair, and then I'm gonna allow you to take over, chair.
Oh, great.
So are there any nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, I have one. I nominate Commissioner Reed.
Second?
Does Commissioner Reed accept?
Do you accept?
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Welcome to our new officers of our 2026 Legislative Committee, Commissioner Al Albritton and Commissioner Reed. Well, welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Looking
Yay.
forward to this.
See how painless that was? All right, sir, I'm official.
Okay, well, I guess I'll do the second action item here is to approve the minutes of the October 8th, 2025.
Move approval.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous, that passed. And now we have the state legislative update from Ron Pierce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. So session starts next week, which is crazy to think that session's already upon us. We'll be in Tallahassee starting on Monday. Session starts on Tuesday, January the 13th. We're scheduled through Friday, March 13th. Couple of updates. Number one, our appropriation has been filed by Senator Roussan and Representative Burfield, $800,000 for the Clearwater Marina ferry dock. So that has been filed. We believe the House and Senate will release initial budgets around week 3, which is pretty normal for the most part. I think we'll kind of see where from a subcommittee standpoint, a lot of the member projects will pop out week 3, possibly going into week 4. In addition to that, there's 2 transportation bills that are moving, which is pretty typical. We do expect there to be some language in there that could impact us. There's nothing in there that directly has a negative impact on us today, but there are some things they've been talking about. over at DOT and in the governor's office relating to micromobility. So we'll see if any of those issues comes up, and more importantly, what impact it would have on transit, generally as well. So another issue we're going to closely monitor because it could have an impact on us, but more importantly, some of our local government partners, is property tax reform. Just want to remind everybody, well, the House has introduced some bills, and there's one that's made it to the House floor. At this point, the Senate has not introduced anything, has not had any discussions. The governor has not released anything to date. We expect the governor at some point here in the very near future is probably going to release something on his idea as it relates to homesteaded properties. And then I think the Senate will probably make some decisions at that point, looking at the House and looking at the governor's office, what direction they want to go. I think anything relating to property tax reform, obviously, is going to have an impact on local government, even if it's just talking about taking current exemptions and either doubling them or tie them to cost of inflation, whatever that may be. There's going to be an impact. And so I think the House and Senate are going to take very different approaches to that. I think the governor's going to take a different approach to the legislature. Again, I'll remind everybody, any constitutional amendment that comes out relating to property tax reform is a joint resolution, which the governor cannot veto. It would go straight to the voters at that point. So obviously, the legislature is going to want to work with the governor, because if they don't work with the governor at some level, the budget and other pieces of legislation could be impacted by that. So I will also mention the budget. Last year they cut out $2 billion out of the budget. If you all recall, the previous year's budget was $117 billion. Current fiscal year that we're sitting in is $115 billion. They cut out $2 billion in recurring revenue. Even with the $2 billion that they cut out, everyone, if you look at the 3-year outlook, which is constitutionally mandated on anything we're doing from a budget standpoint today, anything we plug in from a budget standpoint, how does that not only impact this year's budget, but year 2 and year 3? In year 3 of the outlook right now, all things being equal, if the legislature does nothing and says, we're going to fund what we believe current growth is and what current revenues look like, we'll do nothing else. You're looking at about a $7 billion shortfall in year 3, which we know the House and Senate are going to probably do additional reductions this year as it relates to recurring revenue, not just overall revenue, but recurring revenue. Governor released the budget this year. His recommended budget was $117 billion. I think the House and Senate ultimately will pass budgets much less than that. I think they'll pass budgets closer again to about $115 billion. I do not think that's going to impact member projects. I think member projects, for the most part, like our projects, they're going to fund a lot of member projects as long as they're under $1 million. I think that's kind of the sweet spot to get a lot of member projects done this year. But I think we'll see reductions are not doing any new recurring dollars for any programs, and then trying to anything that's growing, such as Medicaid and some other places, trying to control some of that growth as much as they possibly can. But again, on non-recurring projects like ours that's related to infrastructure, I think we'll be okay. We're working with Brad and the team on finalizing our second Tallahassee trip. Brad, I know we haven't quite finalized it yet. We're looking at, I believe, the week of February the 16th, which is a little bit later in session. It's a good time to be up there. It's around week 6 or so, week 7. It's week 6, so it gives us an opportunity to budgets have passed at that point. We can, we'll kind of know what transportation issues are moving. So once Brad and I kind of finalize the date, whatever date we land on, we typically would bring you up like we have it in the past, bring you up Monday evening. We'll do a dinner, meetings all day Tuesday, then give you the option of going back Tuesday night or possibly Wednesday morning. So Brad, let me know if I missed anything, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions from the committee members.
Question?
Ron Walker's going.
Go ahead.
We have
Question?
Yes, go ahead.
So Ron, which which House bill that was that made it to the House floor?
Yeah, they're looking at taking the current exemption and basically adding to that at this point. It's probably the easiest thing to do. That puts them in a position to, I think, at least have a discussion. There's been some talk too about Save Our Homes is out there as it relates to the portability, doing some things to enhance those opportunities as well. But currently today, it's just dealing with exemptions. Anything beyond that, it starts getting really complicated. And my experience has been, I think I've told the committee this before, if you do any constitutional amendment, anything, no matter what it is, and you can't explain it to the voters in less than 30 seconds, it's not going to pass. With the exemptions, it's something that's probably somewhat of an easy win in the short term. I know the governor's office is going to take a much different approach on that. And again, the House, at this point, the Senate has not taken any approach, but it's just exemptions right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. City of Dunedin, we're putting together a public information campaign specific to the status of the legislation and more importantly to the city of Dunedin, its impact. And so obviously we're following this very closely with regards to how it's evolving with the various House bills. And so that's more informational for you all.
And I will tell you, there's other bills that are moving relating to like things for people older than 65, for veterans. And you may see more than one issue get on the ballot, but they have to put something on the ballot that's going to impact everybody at this point. So again, you could end up with multiple constitutional amendments, one that would kind of impact everybody. The one, if you're older than 65 and have a homesteaded property, you would have to pay property taxes. There's been some talk about obviously trying to keep hold education harmless as a part of this equation. So there's a lot of moving parts at this point. But Robert, I'm happy to send you, as these things move, if you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to send you. We have all kinds of summaries I could send to you that you can send, you can share with your council members as well.
Oh, that would be awesome. Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Ron, could you just send it to all the committee members?
Sure, absolutely. I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. I know this year is going to be a very active year. Everybody's gonna be looking at Tallahassee because of what's been proposed and, yeah, so keep us up to date on all that. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we'll move on to,
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. It would be nice to know if you, as members of the committee, are going to Tallahassee at other times, just in case we can kind of coordinate getting you our adopted legislative priorities and
absolutely.
when you're having the meetings.
I'll be up there the 3rd, 4th, and
Of February.
4th, 5th, 6th, something like that. First week of February.
Okay.
My-
Brad?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
And yeah, we the Dunedin City Commission, we're all gonna be up there on the 26th of January.
So I'm not sure where in Clearwater's going with that schedule. I don't have my calendar here, but yeah, I would be up for going when needed if you needed an extra trip up there as well, so.
Okay, yeah, as Ron said, we're trying to lock down a specific PSA trip when he would make meetings with the different legislators for our issues, and we're looking at the February 16th week of February for that. So if you're interested in driving up there with me, that would be great, and then otherwise, but I was just thinking if you're already gonna be up there, I can make sure you have the PSTA items.
Okay, yeah, we'll lock it down.
Yeah, my grandson's gonna be a Senate page the 4th, 5th, 6th of
Oh.
February.
Oh,
So I'm gonna take him up there. So if you need me to do anything the week before, or 2 weeks, what is that, 2 weeks before? Just, Ron, if you need anything that first week of February, I'll be up there.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. And if we do February the 16th, I mean, the one good thing about that week is it's week 6 of session. House and Senate would have passed their budgets at that point. We may have a better idea what property tax reform looks like. So we'll have a much clearer picture of what could impact us by week 6. So if we can make that week work, if not, we can do maybe the week before or early February. I mean, if Commissioner Peters is going to be there in early February, we can also try to hit that date if the 16th does not work for the group.
and I know that and I think Mr. Albritton, that the city of Clearwater has kind of joined the last couple years with the chambers,
Yes,
and they're going on the next week, February 10th, 11th, or 9th, 10th, 11th, I think.
okay, well,
So,
that's when we're going then.
yeah.
Should be able to go.
And Tampa Bay
Nelson
days are,
Park?
Yeah, well, but
January.
I'm just, I'd be able to go. Niles Park's not going back up again this year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Tampa Bay days is January 28th. And so I don't know how many cities are going up for Tampa Bay days on the 28th, so I don't know.
I have to learn that too, which is when we have our meeting, board meeting, but, yeah. Just learned that yesterday.
Well, we'll work with Brad to finalize the date. We can get it out.
Yeah.
You know, next couple of, and like you said, if there are other board members that are coming up, if things are happening in real time, we can also set some meetings for individual board members. If there's things that we need to react to, whether in town.
Okay. All right, very good. Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Ron.
I do have one, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So with all the dates that were just being thrown around, can we get
I'll send a summary.
a summary, a calendar of when people may be and how we can kind of coordinate some of that?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
good.
All right, thank you.
I'd like that too.
for sure.
Okay, so now we'll move over to our federal legislative update with Harry Glenn.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman, on your new assignment. So actually, for once, I think Washington is actually as busy as Tallahassee. Usually Ron has lots of activity going on and they're moving out so much quicker than Washington, but this week it started out literally with a bang, I guess. Brad, the House Appropriations Committee reported out conference reports on 3 more appropriations bills, and the House is going to vote on that package tomorrow. It's not transportation, but interior, energy and water, and commerce, justice, science. But that, if they're able to get these bills done, these 3, that would be 6 of the 12 would be signed into law. As you know, Congress or the federal government's operating under a continuing funding resolution through January 30th. So the Appropriations Committee is trying to get as many of the 12 appropriations bills done before January 30th, and hopefully they're going to avert another shutdown. Brad, I think the plan is to do one more 3-bill package next week, and then in the final 3-bill package would be the transportation bill would be combined in with the defense and the labor, health, and education appropriations bill. Those are 3 of the largest bills. They would try and do those the last week in January if they can. As you recall, we have 2 congressionally directed spending projects in the transportation appropriations bill for this year. One by Rep. Castor for $850,000 for ferry boat infrastructure in downtown St. Petersburg, and $828,000 for the ferry boat infrastructure in Dunedin. So those are both pending. When the bill gets done, then the money will start to flow to you all. So it's just a matter of getting the bills done. So we'll continue to track that. Hopefully they can stay on track and get these done by the end of January. Brad, the other thing that means if they can get all their appropriations work done in January, that'll kind of get the appropriations process back on track for the next fiscal year, fiscal 27. So we would anticipate that Congress will be looking for congressionally directed spending requests for fiscal 27 in probably early to mid-March. So we need to start giving some thought to what you might want to be asking the delegation to help you out with for the next appropriations bill, so that we can stay in touch on that. But we would need to be starting to think about what you want to submit, I would think sometime by mid-February, just to get everything ready. Congress is, as you know, the other major issue we've talked about before is the second session of Congress, which convened last night. One of the primary issues is to reauthorize for the next 5 years the federal highway and transit programs. Congress does a big bill every 5 years. 5 years ago, it was that was the bipartisan infrastructure bill, was the carrier for the authorization for the highway and transit programs. So they've got to do that before the end of this calendar year in order to allow the trust funds to continue to operate and provide the funding to transit programs and other things. That has to be done. Because of the shutdown, the Transportation Committee had hoped to mark up a bill in the fall or fourth quarter of last year, but they lost a good 6 weeks of activity because of the government shutdown and the House wasn't in session. So Chairman of the committee, Brad, Sam Graves, who you met last year, is talking about doing a markup in committee in February or March and trying to get it on the House floor in April. And so that's where we're trying to work on the drug testing language to help protect your TNC operations. So we'll continue to stay in touch with that. So that's a huge issue for us. The one thing, Brad, that could slow that process down, and this may be of interest, not related to your PSTA hat, but many of you represent communities in Pinellas County. One issue that may bog down the Transportation Committee, they have oversight authority for FEMA disaster assistance programs. And as you may know, the president is talking about reforming operations of FEMA. The FEMA Review Council that he appointed was supposed to provide recommendations in December to Congress on how to reform FEMA programs going forward. And they postponed that session at the last minute and deferred that action to January. We received a briefing yesterday from the committee staff, and of concern to you all in Florida is they're talking about some pretty serious reforms to FEMA programs. And the Transportation Committee already has passed a bill this year that would reauthorize many of the FEMA programs as they currently exist. What the president's proposing is significantly change that and may require Congress to go back in and work on some legislation to fix some of these things that the administration is trying to change. Most notably, the administration is talking about flipping the cost share for FEMA emergency payments from currently 75% federal, 25% local to 25% federal and 75% local, which would be a huge burden to the state and local communities. So that's not out in print yet, but that's one of the proposals we understand they have under consideration. They're also talking about revising the thresholds for what, as you know, disasters are declared based on certain parameters, financial impact, other things that have to be met. They're talking about seriously changing those standards to set a higher threshold for disaster declarations. That's also a problem for our communities. And they have already, in the last quarter of last year, significantly reduced the staffing that's available at FEMA in the event that disasters occur. In fact, they eliminated the entire 65-person emergency response team. Those are the folks who forward deploy, who go ahead as soon as a disaster or in advance of a disaster or when one occurs. They're the first folks that deploy into a disaster zone and start to set up all the other operations that FEMA typically runs. They eliminated all the personnel from that program. So if a disaster were to occur, there's no forward deployed team available right now to go in. So there are a lot of changes going on. The only reason I raise that, in addition to concern to Florida, I raise that, Brad, because that could slow down consideration of the transportation bill if Congress has to engage on FEMA authorization type legislation. So I know Commissioner Peters, I think you're coming up for the National Association of Counties meetings in February. I know NACO is tracking this very closely. It'll be something they're going to talk about at length, I think, in February when you're up here, what's going on with FEMA. So I don't mean to be alarmist, but I just wanted to call your attention to that.
Thank you.
The
It's
other thing
alarming.
is, sorry, I'm sorry.
I said, thank you. It is alarming.
Yeah. The other thing, wanted to let you know, Brad is, PSTA is now a member of the congressional, the Washington, I'm not sure what they call themselves, Brad, the Ferry Boat Coalition, but there's a coalition of transit agencies and communities around the country who are users of ferry boat services and proponents of ferry boat services, East Coast, West Coast, all around the country. Brad, they're going to have a congressional briefing and reception, I think, next Tuesday. So Brad's asked me to go and represent PSTA there. So knowing of your new work in the ferry boat area, we're going to advance that. And then the other thing I would say is I don't think we had a call, Brad, since you were in town in December. Brad came up and did a really good job working with some congressional leadership at FTA to talk about the drug testing exemption that we're trying to work on to help with your Uber and Lyft services, trying to make sure we protect those. Brad met with the new administrator of the FTA to talk about that and also about an issue with ferry boat services. We went over and talked to some folks on Capitol Hill about that. So continue to work on that issue. And Brad, we're going to see if we can get Kathy Castro engaged with a letter to generate some additional support for our legislative proposal. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from anybody?
If I can, just I'm sorry, Brad, one other note. I mentioned that the Congress is working to conference out these appropriations bills. The other thing that may be of interest, not just on transportation, but all the programs, that as you may remember, the House, when they marked up their appropriations bills, they marked them up at significantly lower levels than the Senate. The House tracked more closely to what the president was proposing, and the Senate had proposed additional higher spending in almost every bill, including transportation. So their numbers were much higher for transit programs and other transportation-related programs. As it turns out, the allocations they're now working towards track much closer, Brad, to the Senate numbers than the House numbers. So when the final bill comes out for transportation, we would fully expect that the numbers for transit programs, the raised grants, other grants that you're interested in, low, no bus, all those should track more with the traditional numbers than the lower House numbers that we saw in the over the summer when the House marked up their bill. So that tracks across all the appropriations bills for all the programs that the cities and communities rely on. So I think it's good news that the appropriations process is going to be more as in past years, as opposed to the cuts that had been proposed back in March. So, sorry, Brad.
Well, that's good news at the end of a whole list of bad ones. So,
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Harry. Yeah, it looks like we'll keep our ear to the ground on the federal end of it as well as the states this year. So a lot of things going on both.
And Mr. Chair, just to tag on to something that Harry mentioned, but I just wanted to keep the committee abreast of this issue with the ferry. And so I made just a couple of quick slides, just to remind us. In December, we approved the PSA board approved the contract with Hubbard's Marina to operate the ferry and the funding provided by the cities. Using the FTA ferry boat grant to acquire this possible boat identified by the Hubbards
Right.
in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Right after Mark Hubbard called Al and told him about the boat, I got a call from the executive director of the owner of this boat, this San Francisco Ferry Authority, who said that the boat, we can get the boat, or he will ensure that we get the boat if we help him get his grants unfrozen at the federal level for the new boats that he's getting, that they got awarded under their last administration, that are on hold in Washington DC still by the current administration. $11 million grant they got for new boats that are actually already being manufactured up in Washington State, haven't been released yet. And so he, the executive director said, we think that you, Brad, PSTA can get, if you can get some of your Florida, we've been told that if you get some of your Florida delegation to call and lobby on behalf of getting this boat for you guys, that will help us get this grant released.
Does he think we have a magic wand?
Well, first, I thought, I don't know what you think, I thought pretty good news, they hired Ballard to help them.
That is good.
So they already had Ballard lobbying firm working with them to try to get their grants unfrozen. When I was up there with Harry, we talked to the FDA administrator directly, who confirmed that he knew about this issue and that he confirmed that the grant was frozen. It was on hold. It wasn't canceled. It was on hold. So that's positive, and that it just needed some way to advance through the review process. We had a number of meetings about this issue. It seemed Harry is a very great optimist person, as you all know, and he was hopeful that this would have been approved by Christmas, but it's after Christmas and it hasn't been approved yet. So hopefully anytime soon. We're trying to get phone calls from Senator Castor and Luna and Ballard, and I think and others have successfully gotten Senator Moody's office to make phone calls to the US DOT secretary to try to
Work on Luna, what is the grant, where's that to? The company in California?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the name of that?
It's called, well, I can send you a whole little script.
Send it to me and then I'll work on getting some
Yeah.
on my end.
You know, I think, and I don't know if you have any other updates on that. That's just, I wanted to just keep the committee informed of that. I think it's hopeful. I mean, everyone seemed positive that it will get released sometime. And the executive director of the agency has assured me that once the grant gets approved, then they will do the sale to PSDA for the $1.5 million.
But what if we work to help him, will he still sell it to us, or he's not gonna sell it until he gets his grant?
He says he's not gonna sell until he gets his grant,
So that was gonna be my question.
but he's not gonna sell it to anybody else.
Chair, Mayor. So what I'm hearing is, what's the word that I don't wanna use, but because initially when we saw that the vessel was gonna be for sale, we knew nothing about grants being on hold, correct?
Correct.
They said nothing to us as that, with that stipulation being in place.
Correct. It was just for sale on the open market through a broker. And then he saw that we were interested, and thought he could maybe use us, sort of leverage us to get his grant approved.
Well, not thought, it seems like he is using us.
Well, yeah, he is, now he's
So,
full
yeah,
blown
so
using
it's
us,
not a
yeah.
thought, so have we thought of our own legal ways around that with it being open for sale in the open market through a broker? To now have a stipulation after the fact, because what I hear is that this is gonna slow our progress up in regards to obtaining it, and if something falls through, then what are we gonna do? Do we have a plan B or a plan C? What are we gonna do?
We're working on, we're still with the Hubbards on Plan B and C on other vessels, yeah, for sure.
And now, my personal preference is that we work on plan B and C. Because again, to afford ourselves in getting other people into other people's politics in regards for the vessel, I think we need to tread lightly in that. That's just my own personal opinion. So, I'm gonna sell you my house and we sign the contract and all of a sudden, well, I will sell it, but I need you to XYZ for me where I'm gonna benefit from it. To me, I don't think that's kosher, and that's just my 2 cents. So, I think we really do need to look at other options that we may have in regards to that vessel, but to say you're gonna sell it and then saying, oh, by the way, I'm only gonna sell it if. We didn't have that information going forward before we made this great proclamation to the world that we have found a vessel and everything that we were gonna do, and now we have stipulations, so.
And we've got our own needs that we have to
Exactly.
advocate for.
Exactly, so I will leave that there too.
I
Harry's gonna
completely
do it.
concur with you, I think you're spot on, and there could be other political things going on that
We don't know.
could hurt us by advocating that,
Exactly.
so I don't know. Harry, you're the expert, you know best.
He has been very helpful in advising on this, I would say. Harry, do you wanna make that one?
Yeah, I did talk to Senator Moody's folks too, Brad, about it, and they, I don't know what the response they got back from DOT was, but they're working on it. And DOT has said, and I think Brad met with the FTA administrator, it is a San Francisco project, so there's that element, but they seemed to indicate it was not, and it's also an electric ferry, but there's that element, so those are 2 things that I think give the administration pause. There were about 500 DOT grants still pending that had been awarded by the Biden administration that are still under review by the current administration. As Brad said, they'd hoped to have them all resolved before the end of 2025, but that hasn't happened. So, they didn't indicate that this grant to San Francisco is fatal. It's not going to be awarded. They're just spending more time on some of these projects. So we'll follow your direction, Brad, on what you want to do. But I think we've done what we can do to link Now let them know that there's a Florida interest in this, but
You know, at some point, I concur that if it just does not happen, then you don't have to look at different options. But
Yeah,
I agree. And then I also think that somewhere in there, as a business side of it, is that we look at them and say, cause this boat, what, isn't running or it needs new engines, right? Is it running?
It was
They're still
running,
using-
yeah.
Right, it
Yeah,
was, but it's not.
and I think as of right now, it is getting a new engine in it and then, but it has been operating as a ferry in the San Francisco Bay.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I mean, for them to say, well, they kind of are holding us with a little ransom going on there, that we just, I agree with what she said, but also where do we benefit from even sticking our neck out or calling our people in and using our people's hours towards their grant? So what do we get off the boat or off of something
Yeah,
for helping them, because we're paying our people, we're paying to do all this work, and we're using our legislators and so forth for their benefit. We get a boat, but there's other boats.
well, I'd like to see what Plan B and C is.
Yeah.
Because when this was sold to me, I thought this was a great boat. I mean, it was more than I thought we could get, so it,
Well, and I do believe that the Hubbards believe this is still a great boat. They would still very much like to get this vessel. They think it's perfect.
Well, they put it on the market, so it was for sale,
It was for sale.
with no strings attached.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's their problem.
Mhm.
That's my opinion. But whatever.
okay, any other comments, questions?
Do we have a timeline? Because we don't meet again until next month.
Well, hopefully, we don't have any other legislative related initiatives related to this planned. So I mean, hopefully we'll get a phone call from them that their grant has been approved and you guys let's sign the purchase agreement.
Okay, but I don't wanna wait. I mean, when
I
are we
wouldn't
gonna,
wanna wait.
when are we gonna look at Plan B? When are we gonna look at Plan C?
Mark needs to be hunting down for another boat.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
Well, he is.
And let them know.
Yeah, cause although I appreciate the Hubbard's
He knows,
experience.
he is on hold, right, as I basically waiting on this.
Well, I don't think we need to, because we have people we have to answer to. We have cities that we have to answer to. And so to be able to move forward and say, well, we were waiting to see, that would not suffice for the amount of dollars that we have invested in this as a city. I can tell you that up front.
Yeah,
I would not be able to justify that. And although I do appreciate the Hubbard's true commitment to this and how encouraged they are about it, they're not gonna be the ones to take the heat when it comes down to why aren't we moving forward, or why did we wait on this, or why did we not
Right.
present this? So it is not my recommendation that we wait. It is my recommendation that we move on to a B and a Plan C, because I can't go back and sell, well, we wanted to see, cause he said he wanted us to help him with, that doesn't even sound right.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make fiscal sense for us as a city to wait a pending favor that we're to give to someone that had already agreed to sell the boat. And now there's strings attached. That just doesn't even sound right to me. So I would love to see when we're gonna be able to get some type of Plan B or some type of Plan C. What are we gonna do moving
We should be able to have some presentation of other vessels that might be available in the next couple weeks.
Okay,
Sounds like there's
Hopefully.
two.
And I know Mark Hubbard, the senior Hubbard, is searching the world, or searching the United States for other vessels all the time.
well, can you please stress the urgency in searching and finding other vessels across the United States?
yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
really,
If we have another option, he may change his mind too,
Mm-hmm.
but he's holding us hostage, that's not okay. I agree.
Yeah, that is not okay.
yeah, Brad, will you keep us updated on that?
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
okay, thank you, Harry. All right, any other business before the board? Okay, our next meeting is February 4th, 2026 at 9 a.m.
I will not be there for that.
All right, you're gonna be up in Tallahassee.
Meeting adjourned.